March 31st, 2016. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 96 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting across from me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So last week we were in a poker tournament. Well, more like a sit and go, just a little tournament with,
Right.
there are only 7 of us.
Yeah,
right?
a little neighborhood tournament.
Neighborhood game. And I'll tell you, we've talked about it before, but one of the worst things about going to a poker home game, especially one that is not a regular game, is that people do not show up on time. And this game was scheduled for 7:30. And we got there at 7:30. Actually, we were a few minutes late because we went back and got some drinks to take.
Well, we were like a minute or two.
Yeah, I mean,
late.
like not that late.
Right.
And for the first 20 minutes, it was just you, me, and the host. And nobody else was there. And, then finally, after 20 minutes, people started trickling in. And then by 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock is when we actually started playing.
Right.
It's not like a dinner party or, where people kind of get together and you can social. I mean, we have to wait for everybody to get there before we can start the game. Otherwise,
Right. And
we're
there's
just sitting
nothing to
around.
do. You're
No.
just sitting there waiting.
I mean, again, you can, socialize, but, you're sitting there just at the table, just especially, players like you and me, we're ready to go.
Right. No, there's nothing worse than being a gambler. I guess we can call ourselves that.
Yeah, I think we can call ourselves gamblers. Go ahead.
And being in a gambling situation, but not being able to gamble.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That is annoying.
Now, it turned out everybody who attended, they were all great guys. There was,
Yeah.
it was a good group.
Nice group.
And of course, I won the tournament.
Yes, of course, as usual.
Yep. And let's talk about the hand that kind of shot me to the top. So we were kind of pretty even stacks, and
I was actually a chip leader at that point.
That's right. You were the chip leader.
I was
right.
the chip leader at that point.
So Mike is on the button. I'm in the big blind. So it folded around to you, Mike, on the button. And
I'm on the button.
Yeah. You look down at pocket kings.
Pocket kings.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I think only 1 or 2 people were out at that point.
Yeah, I think there were 5 players left at this point, right? Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, this is my chance to cripple
Yes.
some people
right.
and guarantee I'm in the money.
Yep.
So, pocket kings, I bet.
You min raised.
I min raised.
Yeah.
I did min raise. I mean, maybe I should have.
In retrospect, in retrospect, there was nothing you can do because we'll tell you what happened next.
In retrospect, I was screwed.
Yeah. You min raised.
Right.
Now, the guy in the small blind, it turned out he had pocket aces. That's why you were screwed, basically, right?
That's what did me in.
He just called.
Which I, for the life of me, do not understand.
Well, you see it all the time where players will,
They're going to
they look at aces and they slow
aces.
play their aces, right?
Idiots.
Yeah. So he just called. Now, I'm in the big blind, and I look down at ace 7 suited. Ace 7 of hearts. And I'm thinking, well, for a min raise, sure, I'll see a flop. What the heck?
Right. And you were second stat. You were the second highest stat.
Yes, at that point.
I had you out beat, but not by a lot.
Yeah, not by too much. So I called. The flop came out with 2 hearts. It was like a nothing flop, right? They were all low cards.
No, they were all low cards. It couldn't help anybody, which I thought, from my perspective at that point, was this is the best flop ever for me.
Sure, anybody.
Right?
Yeah, right.
No face cards. So if somebody, either one of you had pocket jacks or something, I wasn't worried because there was no jack.
Right.
I wasn't even worried because an ace came up. If an ace had come up, I would have backed off.
Sure.
Because I would have thought, I'll get killed on the turn or the river.
So that flop came out, and I can't remember if the guy in the small blind checked or made some kind of bet. Did he check?
Checked.
Okay. So, this is just a neighborhood tournament.
Is the pocket aces checking?
Yeah, pocket aces
I'm
check.
still on the button.
Right, and I'm in the big blind. And, again, it's one of these tournaments where it's moving pretty quickly, and I'm thinking, well, this is my chance. Especially since he checked, I'm going all in. So I just shoved, right?
Yeah, you shoved all in.
Yeah.
And I'm licking my chops because I'm thinking, what could Mark have had in the big blind? And I know you would have raised had you had pocket aces.
I would have raised, pre-flop I would have.
Yeah, pre-flop. You would not have just called pre-flop.
Yeah.
You would have raised
Right,
with pocket
for sure,
aces.
for sure.
So I'm thinking, well, he doesn't have pocket aces. This is from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you went all in, I'm thinking, well, maybe he has like queens or something or jacks. And you could have had trips too.
See, that's the thing.
You could have had 2 low cards.
You know how I play.
Right.
So when I went all in, I'm surprised you called because you did.
Believe me, I was very hesitant. I thought about that for a few seconds because I thought, why is Mark going all in?
You've got to figure I've
But-
got like 2 pair or better.
It went through my head that you probably had trips.
Sure.
'Cause I don't know what was on the board.
I don't know, it was like
don't
10,
remember.
8, 3,
Yeah, and
something
I'm
like
thinking
that,
you
yeah.
could have had pocket eights and just, and that is something you wouldn't raise on pre-flop.
Right, I just see a flop.
That's,
Yeah,
you
sure.
just see what came
Yeah,
out because it's not that great a hand.
Right.
So I almost did it, and then I thought, well, it's Mark. So I'm either giving my chips to you or I'm getting them.
Okay, all right.
So-
Collusion.
Yeah, well, not really collusion.
No,
but,
it wasn't.
You know.
It wasn't. Yeah, you would. So
No, I wanted to win.
yeah. So you called, and then the guy in the small blind with the pocket aces, who we both had covered, he insta called.
Yeah, he was very short stacked, actually.
Yeah. So I'm all in. He's all in. You've got both of us covered. And so we flip over our cards to see where we're at. You know that you're in a terrible position now because
now
you
the
need
aces
a king.
have me beat. I need a king.
You need a king that's not a heart.
Right,
So-
exactly. Well, I need no hearts because you've already got 4.
Right.
So the last 2 cards can't be a heart,
Yep.
and one of them has to be a king.
Yeah. So the turn came and it was a heart. So I made my flush. And at that point, they were both drawing dead to me. And
Right.
so you took out the guy in the small blind and I crippled you.
Yeah, I was down to like basically 2 hands later,
Yeah,
I had to go all
yeah.
in.
And then I just cruised to the end. I had such a huge
You know
chips,
what the funny
stack.
thing about that is, and I could have played that probably a little better as soon as you bet. I probably should have folded. But had you not hit a heart,
Right.
right, the guy with the aces would have won.
Yeah.
He had very little money. It wouldn't have hurt me or you at all.
He would have tripled up though, right? I mean,
He would have tripled up. No,
yeah.
he would have got more money.
Yeah.
But what he would have got from us wouldn't have
That's
even
true.
dented our stacks.
Yeah, that's true. You're right.
So, that was the best case. So I'm thinking, please no heart.
But keep in mind, Mike, you and I would be in a side pot, right? So you would take
right.
me
Well,
out.
that's true. Yeah, I
Right?
would have taken
You would have taken
out.
me
So
out.
yeah, I would have done
so
quite well.
You got to
I
think
would
of the
have
whole
lost
scenario.
very little
yeah.
for him.
Yeah, I would have been out. So
Right, that
yeah,
would have put you
yeah.
out.
I needed the heart. Yeah. So yeah. On our last episode, we were talking about a shoot to win craps video where we saw a player getting paid on buy bets, and we couldn't figure out how the machine was coming up with the amount of money that these buy bets were being paid off at. Several listeners contacted us and pointed out that what was happening was the player was being charged 5% VIG based on winnings. So 5% of winnings, not 5% of the wager.
The wager, which is usually the case at a craps
That's
table.
always the way it is at a
Yeah.
craps table.
I mean,
The
we've never
VIG is
seen
based
it
on
any
a
other
wager.
way.
So, for example, when he had a bet on a 10, he had $5 bet on a 10. The payout is 2 to 1 plus a 5% VIG. So $5 pays $10 minus 5% of $10. So the payout was $9.50. Now he had bought the 5, and we were trying to figure out how he got paid $7.13. It
Yeah,
seemed
just
like an
the
odd amount.
13 cents
Right,
does
we
not
couldn't
seem
figure
right.
it out. But what was happening was, okay, a $5 bet on the 5, a buy bet, that pays $7.50 when it wins. So 5% of $7.50 is 37.5 cents. So subtract that from $7.50 and you get $7.12.5, and the machine was just rounding up to $7.13.
Nice that the casino rounds up.
It's nice that they round up. So anyway, if you want to just ignore all this math, here's the bottom line. If you're playing at one of these shoot to win craps tables and you want to bet on the 4, 5, 9, or 10, buy it instead of place it. Okay? Don't place those numbers, buy them.
But the 6 and 8,
6 and 8, you still want to make a place bet. The way the math works out, you will not win as much money buying the 6 and 8 as you would placing it.
okay.
So buy the 4, 5, 9, and 10 and place the 6 and 8.
I would have never figured that out just sitting there.
Yeah, I know.
That's something I'd have to really think about. I mean, because it's just so foreign for us.
I know. It's so I wouldn't even consider that it would be. I mean, it makes perfect sense once somebody shows you. But anytime you're at a craps table, the VIG is based on your wager, not on what you would win. Now, with the exception of lay bets, where it is based on what you would win, right? If you
right.
lay the 4 for $40, you're paying 5% against the 20 that you would win. So.
Right. You are paying against your win.
Yeah. So who knows how they figure out the lay bets on the shoot to win craps tables? Probably still on winnings.
Do they have
Who
them?
knows? I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah.
We'll have to
maybe
check it. Yeah.
In that case, we should check. Maybe they do that on your bet. So you're paying 5% of $40, not 5%
Yeah,
of
maybe
20.
it'd be worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be
That's
worse.
Right. So this last weekend, we were not going to go out to the casino before our trip to Vegas, but you insisted.
Yeah, I think that's an accurate statement.
A good way of putting it. And I said, well, Mike, can you guarantee a win? And you said, absolutely, I can guarantee a win. So
I guaranteed to win because, first of all, I had a good feeling we were going to win. Second of all, I was praying like hell we'd win.
So anyway, we did head out there, and it started poorly. But then it started to turn around a little bit. And a couple of our listeners, David and Julie, who happened to be up at Harrah's, Southern California that same weekend, stopped by the craps table. Man, as soon as they showed up, this guy went on a roll.
Oh, they were like a charm. I was afraid, don't leave. Whatever they do, do not walk away.
So we ended up having a very big, nice win for that night. So we've got plenty of money for our Vegas trip this weekend. Yeah. So that worked out good. But something happened at the craps table that we wanted to talk about. So there was a gentleman who was a fairly high roller. He was asking for credit.
He's a very high roller.
And he was making a pass line bet on the craps table. It was a $15 table. And he was making like $25 pass line bet, $50 pass line. I think it was actually $50.
Yeah.
So eventually his wife came up and she cashed in for like $100. And she only wanted to bet $5.
Yeah, she is not a real big gambler.
Right.
And she wasn't until she married him. No, and
these people.
I know these people.
Yeah,
they're personal friends.
Yeah.
So when she married him, he likes to go occasionally, and he does. He's a pretty good, heavy player. Yeah. And so, she just tags along and likes to make a few bets.
Okay, so it's a $15 minimum table. She's only making a $5 bet. And the dealer kind of calls attention to it. And the pit boss comes over and says, yeah, it's got to be $15. And so the husband said, well, here, what if I just piggyback her bet on mine? So I'll make a $55 bet. And they said, yeah, that's okay. At least for a little while. They let her do it for a little while, and then finally the pit came over and said, we just can't let you do this. We have these minimums here for a reason, to have these players here. And so your friend, he complied. He didn't raise that much of a fuss, but it got me thinking, should the casino make exceptions in those cases?
Well, I don't know if they're making, I would really say they're making an exception because he's a high roller.
Uh-huh.
I think that should apply for anybody. So if I'm betting the minimum $15 and my wife stands next to me and she's got some chips and she just hands me 5 of her chips and she puts it on mine, as long as you're not rating her,
okay,
if she doesn't give the casino her card,
right,
and it's just like my bet, and what's the problem?
Well, how many times do you see a couple at the table when only one of them is playing, and the spouse is just there watching, and as long as the table's not full,
right?
They let you stand. And this was a case where the table was not full, so maybe
it was not even close.
And again, I don't know how hard it is to stick to rules when you're in a casino because people like consistency. You don't want to go to one table and they tell you one thing, go to another table they tell you something else.
Right.
But they could maybe say, all right, we'll let her do that as long as the table isn't full. But if the table fills up, then we won't let you do that anymore.
She's actually taking a spot, and she needs to make her own bet.
Yeah.
Right. But I understand that. And if had that been the case, I would have said, well, I'll just have my wife stand behind me.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And she can just hand me $5 out of her hand.
I was a little surprised that the pit didn't let him do it. I really was, because he's a regular. And they weren't doing anything wrong. It was just,
he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is a nice guy.
He does not really make a stink about anything.
Yeah.
Even that, he was kind of miffed.
Yeah.
Like, really? We can't do that?
So, I don't know. Maybe some casinos have hard and fast rules about this. Maybe, some can bend the rules or whatever. But anyway.
Now, you and I pass money back and forth between us all the time.
Sure. Yeah, but we're usually passing. It's like, oh, I borrowed $100 from you. Here you go. Or here, make change for me. That kind of thing.
Usually I need some nickels, and I give Mark a chip, and he gives me change.
Yeah.
And then, sometimes we borrow from each other.
Yeah.
So, what does the casino think about that?
Well, that's different. It's not like we're affecting the mechanics of the game or the minimum of the game.
But if they're trying to keep track of for rating purposes, it's like, well, wait a minute, who's in for what?
Oh, okay. Here, that's true. I've never heard anybody say anything to me.
No, they never have.
Yeah. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, We get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. And one of our listeners reminded us too, we talked about this on a previous episode. If you've got ad blocking set up on your browser, you may not see that ad at the top of our page. So just be aware of that and maybe turn off ad blocking, or I guess I could put a link directly into the show notes. But if you don't see the ad, that could be why. All right, let's move on to our Ask a Dealer segment. So there are probably times when you have wanted to ask a dealer a question, but you didn't feel maybe comfortable asking the question at the table.
Like, why aren't I winning?
Well, I think I've heard that before, but sometimes you might not feel comfortable, right? Because the dealer's, there and her boss is right behind her, right? Or, she can't just actually say what she really thinks, right? So
she just has to quietly flip you off.
That's right.
Turn around and walk away.
Well, our good friend, Seven of Diamonds, our dealer friend, is joining us on the line to answer some Ask a Dealer questions. Seven of Diamonds, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let's jump right in. So, listener Lauren on Twitter asked, what is the longest time you've seen someone stay at the same table or heard of someone staying at the same table?
That's a funny question because I've actually seen somebody stay at the same table for 3 days straight.
3 days?
3 days straight. Same clothes, same seat.
So no sleep.
And they actually, no sleeping, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they actually brought the person a blanket because they were in high limit playing.
Oh my God.
3 days. Okay, that's a good answer.
That's a great answer. Now, this wasn't my dad, right?
It wasn't your dad.
Okay, that's a good question. Yeah.
That's a legitimate question.
3 days. What game was he playing?
It was a woman, and she was playing double deck blackjack.
Okay, so a woman playing double deck blackjack for 3 days. Wow.
God, I'm like you. I'm sure you just assumed that was some guy.
I know. Yeah, I
like
jumped
some
to conclusion.
middle-aged guy,
yeah, right.
not married, hardcore gambler, lots of money, and it's a woman.
Yeah, that's great. 3 days. All right. Next question. We got this from David via email. He said, playing Pai Gow poker with a bet that supports the envy. And let's talk about envy betting right now before we go any further. Sometimes on games like Pai Gow poker or blackjack, there is a jackpot bet that you can make, maybe for $1, maybe for $5, something like that. And if somebody at the table wins the jackpot or one of the higher payouts, everybody else at the table who had a bet on that same wager of like a minimum amount, say $5, they get what's called an envy bonus. So maybe they'll get like $10 if somebody else gets a full house, in a poker-based game or, something like that. So that's what he's talking about, an envy bonus. Okay, playing Pai Gow poker with a bet that supports the envy. When a player throws in her hand, do I have the right to ask to see the cards to make sure it was not envy-worthy? I know some would say that the player would not throw away a winner of that size, but I have a stake in her hand as well, and she could have missed a big win. So, does he have a right to ask to see that hand?
That's a good question, and I think that each casino may be different in its answer to that question.
Mm-hmm.
I have asked before my supervisor, and for the current casino that I work out at now, they said that yes, that the player could request to see the hand, but I don't know if that would be the case for all casinos. And technically, if it's a mucked hand, we'll just say they had 5 aces, just one of the big bonuses on Pai Gow. I don't know if the casino would actually hold up to paying out the envy bonus on that because it's technically a dead hand.
Yeah. And, this kind of reminds me, too, we should remind players, especially in a game like Pai Gow poker, flip up your hand. I know there's this tendency if you've got a really bad hand to just muck it. But flip it over because if you're making one of these bonus bets, maybe you miss the fact that you had a straight or, a straight flush or something, right? And at least flipping it up, the dealer can see it.
Yeah, what about games where the bonus pays on your hand and the dealer's hand? So like 3-card poker, where you combine your hand, the dealer's hand. So if you fold ahead of time, I guess that's a dead hand.
Well,
but could another player say, well, let me see your hand,
Well, but Seven, back me up on this if I'm right. I think in the case of 3-card poker, when you fold, they keep the hand out there.
Oh, to check.
Check, because you could have garbage.
If you paid for the bonus.
If you paid for the bonus, right.
Yeah, if you didn't pay for the bonus, they just collect it.
Right. So I think in the case of 3-card poker, it's not an issue.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that I've seen an envy bet on a 3-card poker game.
I don't think I have anyway. Anyway, am I right on that, Seven?
Actually, where I work now, we don't have that 6-card bonus bet.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't felt that in quite some time. So we just, as soon as they muck it, we just lock it up. We don't flip it over and show it. We just lock it up and collect the bet. That's it. So.
Okay. All right. I guess, kind of getting back to David's question too, if there's somebody who's constantly folding their hands down, what are you going to do? Ask every time that they be flipped up? I think, as a player, you should just say, do you mind flipping it up just in case, in the future? And if they don't want to, oh well.
Yeah, and you could have an inexperienced player that doesn't even know that that's an option, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. This was from Josh via a voicemail. In Baccarat, players don't necessarily have to pay the commission right away. The dealer keeps track of how much commission a player owes, and the player pays it after each shoe or when he leaves the table or whenever he would like to pay it off. Question: if you bet the last dollar that you have no more money in your pocket, you bet your last chip, and you still owe the commission, what does the casino do? So I have no more money in my pocket, no more money on my person, I bet my last chip and lost, but I still technically owe the commissions. How does the casino enforce that?
Well, in California, I only have seen this in the high limit room, and you rarely see it anymore because all of the regular Baccarat has been replaced with the Easy Bac, or almost all of it. So you really don't see it anymore, but what we used to do is it was the dealer's responsibility to collect the commission when they saw that the player was down to their last bet, to collect it before they placed their last bet.
Yeah.
But if they forgot, we'll say, and this did happen, they were only allowing the players that had a player's card to collect the commission afterwards. And then this did happen a few times, and they actually logged it into the computer. So the next time that player came in, before they could play, they had to pay their commission they owed from last time.
Okay, good. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a good rule.
Now, when you say Easy Baccarat, in Easy Baccarat, is the commission collected on each hand?
There's actually no commission in Easy Bac.
Oh, explain Easy Bac. Maybe I'm not realizing there's an additional rule. So why is there no commission in Easy Baccarat?
Because it's the new Baccarat that has the dragon and the panda. So the dragon and the panda, technically they kind of cancel out the player having to pay commission. The house gets their edge that way with that bonus bet, the new bonus bet.
Okay, so the player has to make one of those bets?
No, it's optional. But to win the dragon bonus, it's a 3-card winning 7 total amount on the banker side, and you can only win the dragon bonus. If you have a banker bet, it's a push on your banker bet, and then a player bet loses.
Oh, okay. So that's how they make up for it, is in that case the banker's a push. Okay, I see. Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
great.
Yeah. That solves that whole commission problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Good. Oh, nice. We learned something here tonight. Yep. Good. Excellent. Yeah. Okay.
We need to play more Baccarat. That's what we learned.
That's all I'm going to play. We're going to Vegas this weekend. So, that's all I'm going to play. All right. Another question. Todd via email. I'm wondering what the most impressive chip tricks are that you can do or you have seen others do. For example, I saw one dealer holding a chip probably 2 feet above the felt, dropped it onto the felt in front of his working stack. It bounced off the table and landed on top of his working stack. Do you do any tricks, Seven?
You better rephrase that.
Do you do any chip tricks?
Chip tricks.
Well, we're not allowed to do any tricks with the chips on the table, so it's highly discouraged. So
you see a lot of craps people doing it when they're bored.
Well, I mean, I've seen it sometimes where they do kind of try to bounce, or even like bounce the buy button or the buy lammer so that it, lands right on the buy bet, something like that.
Yeah. Craps is probably the main game that you'll see any kind of chip play by the dealers because you can kind of get away with it on that table.
Yeah, it's hard on a blackjack table.
Yeah, I guess with the craps table, the big tub, and there's a lot of room to manipulate.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old disappearing chip trick and pulling it out behind the ear. It's kind of discouraged.
All of a sudden, hey, you're short $500 chips. No, they're behind my ear.
Just check.
They're right here.
All right, you're fired.
I don't know where it went.
Okay, we got a question from Drew via Facebook. I'll let you decide whether you want to answer this or not. Have you ever seen other dealers cheat? And if so, did you report them?
Interesting question. I have. I think most dealers have seen other dealers cheat, or maybe not cheat, but bend the rules more than they should.
Okay.
Craps, you see it, I think, more than any other game, again, because the rules, there's a big gray area, the way that we book bets and such. And for me, I have to go by the book for pretty much everything. So the first time they do it, I'm not going to say that they're cheating, but I'll correct them on it and say, hey, it was supposed to be this. And I won't let it slide because the cameras can see everything. So they'll see you looking at that dealer, watching the dealer, if they're in the middle of making whatever mistake that they're making, and then you can get in trouble too. So
yeah. So you talking about kind of bending the rules or gray areas? Any examples?
Yeah, on craps, we'll say where I worked before, the dice can be in the air and players want to make bets, and you can book the bets. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're in the middle of booking it and the dice land and it could be a 7-out and everything loses. And, you might like that player. And so you say, oh, it wasn't a bet. I wasn't finished booking it. Or say it lands on an 8 and they were just placing the 8. And then you did book that 8. Okay, it was a bet.
Okay. So that kind of makes sense. But if it were a chronic thing where it was like happening all the time, this call bet, when the dice are in the air, then you put a stop to it. But you've seen maybe some bending of rules like that.
Yeah. It's definitely going to happen. We're only human, right?
Yep, you're right.
Right. And I think there's a lot of times where things happen where people maybe pay a bet that didn't win or collect a bet or something just on accident. And I don't know if it's so much cheating as it's just going fast.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, mistakes happen, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Dirty stacks.
Can I give you guys an example of that?
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so this one time, in California we have cards on craps. So I was on base, and the dealer that was flipping the cards, we had a $1 hard 8 for the dealers, and it hit. So we got $10. So I hand in the $10 to the dealer that's flipping the cards, and they also are the dealer that drops our tokes. Well, the dice were flying, and so he was getting ready to flip the next roll, and I hand him the $10 and I said, dealer hard 8. And he goes, dealer hard 8. Oh, I said, dealer hard 8 money. And he said, dealer hard 8 money. Slides it out to the hard 8, the $10 that I just gave him from the last hard 8 that hit. He slides it out to the dealer hard 8, puts our $10 on the bet, flips the cards, and it's another hard 8. So it was back to back hard 8, right? And I looked at him and he was like, yes, our hard 8 just hit. And I started laughing because he was supposed to drop the $10, but instead it was a miscommunication. So he put it out on the hard 8 and it hit again. And so we ended up getting $100.
Good. You dropped the 100. Good.
Yeah. We did.
So they booked that.
Good.
Another gray area.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's a good story, though.
In that situation, that's a good gray area.
Yeah.
Because it benefits the dealers, right?
Well, you just say, the guy who made the bet, he said it was a parlay.
Right.
Right.
Parlay us all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Jordan sent us a question via email. When playing Pai Gow poker, you can flip your hand over and the dealer will gladly tell you the correct way to play your hand. Or at least they'll tell you the house way to play. However, in blackjack, when I ask if I should hit a 16 against a dealer's 7, most all of the dealers will not give a straight answer. Why won't blackjack dealers tell you how the book tells you to play, but Pai Gow poker dealers will?
That's funny because Pai Gow, you're always supposed to tell the player exactly the house rules. Some dealers still say, but I like to play this way. Well, you're never supposed to say that. That's just house rules.
Okay, so Pai Gow Poker, you're supposed to, as a dealer, you're supposed to tell the player how the house would play and not give them any more advice.
Right. Blackjack, you are supposed to tell them only how the book plays as well, but everybody seems to like to give their opinion in blackjack. I don't know why that is. It's but it's ridiculous. And I hear supervisors telling the dealers all the time, don't give them your opinion. Keep it short and sweet. Tell them, buy the book. That's it.
So in most casinos, then dealers are instructed to tell a player how to play a blackjack hand correctly according to basic strategy. That's what you're saying?
Yes. That's the only thing they're supposed to tell the player.
And I mean, Mike, we've seen plenty of dealers who don't know basic strategy, right?
Right.
So,
but it would make sense that the casino would tell you basic strategy. They sell a little card with basic strategy on it.
It's not like they try to hide it.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't hide that at all. So, I mean, best thing to do would be say, go buy one of those cards over in the gift shop.
Yeah.
Right. And then, play exactly like that tells you.
Okay. But the answer really is blackjack dealers should be telling you how to play your hand. And for whatever reason, we've had this situation before too. I've seen it happen where players have asked the dealer, what am I supposed to do? And they just dummy up. Maybe the dealers dummy up because other players at the table think that how a certain person plays is going to affect them. And the dealer is afraid to say, oh, you should hit that and anger some other player.
Right.
Because, no, they shouldn't have hit that, right? If they hadn't taken your advice, you would have busted. Whereas that doesn't happen in Pai Gow Poker. Maybe that's why dealers dummy up.
Yeah, that would make sense. You would keep the conversation down to the bare minimum just by saying, well, I don't know.
Definitely. That's definitely one of the key points.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to anger the guy that's the one betting for you.
Yeah,
and
right.
if you tell him, if you tell him the wrong answer, because as a dealer, of course, you don't know the next card coming out.
Right.
So
well, in a lot of cases,
you don't want to give them wrong advice.
In a lot of cases, there is no right answer.
Well, I mean, if you knew
the next card, you'd know the right answer.
Right.
But I mean, you could tell them what is actually the right answer and be dead wrong.
Sure, like anything. Like, you can do the right thing in poker and lose, right? It's just, it doesn't guarantee you're going to win.
So you're taking a risk, like Seven said, you're going to disrupt the whole table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, one last question. We got this, somebody called in with a voicemail. I wonder if dealers are ever told to try to steer players to make certain bets. I've noticed, for example, when I play craps, the dealers are often trying to tell me not to play the pass line, but instead just choose a number and bet that because then the number only has to come up one time. I know, terrible advice, and I get so sick of people telling me that. I'm wondering if maybe the dealers are being told that. So are dealers told to discourage players from making certain bets and to make other ones?
No. The only thing dealers are told to on craps is to tell the players is to try and get them to make bets. It doesn't matter what bets, but just to try and get the players to make bets.
Yeah.
Get them involved, get them playing. But what it boils down to is a lot of dealers think they know everything.
Yeah.
Oh, that's unusual.
That's it.
Well, yeah, actually,
and how many times, Mark, have we heard dealers tell us how to play craps?
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Right.
Well, and
Lorenzo tells you every week
that's
what you should be doing.
That's right. Well, it's funny because the voicemail was actually from our last episode, and that's what you kind of said was that dealers are supposed to get out there. Okay, hard 8. Points 8. Who wants the hard 8?
Well, that's just good business for the casino.
Yeah.
Right. That's part of the casino's business aspect. I get a little offended when they say, "Mike, you didn't make your two-way world bet. Get that out here." Well, and I'm just kidding about that. I don't. I actually appreciate it because a lot of times they know me better than I know myself at that moment. If that makes any sense.
Or you've forgotten to make a bet.
I've forgotten to make a bet. And Mike, you forgot your easy 4. And, and thank God sometimes it has worked in my favor.
Okay. All right. So dealers are not told to steer players away from that. So if that's happening at a table, the dealer is kind of breaking the rules. A dealer should not be doing that.
Right. They shouldn't, but you're going to always have dealers that love to tell you how to bet your money and where to bet your money.
Yeah.
Well, I think that makes it fun for the dealer.
I guess
does.
it's like they're playing.
It's like they're playing. Because seriously, when we used to deal craps, we like to see people play the way we like to play.
Yeah.
Because it was like we were involved in the game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
So any don't player, we just booted them right off.
Yeah. We kicked them out. Folks, if anybody else can ask a dealer question, email us or Twitter or voicemail, and we'll get Seven back on the line to answer your questions. Seven, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for the questions.
Good, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, let's jump to our voicemail hotline. Remember, call our hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And maybe we'll play your clip on the show. So last episode, we were talking about how if you win $1,200 or more on a machine, you need to fill out a W-2G, but they will give you the full amount of your winnings. We got a call from Alex about that.
Hey guys, it's Alex from Illinois calling. Just wanted to comment in on your tax talk earlier today on the podcast regarding withholding taxes. What you said about federal taxes was right on, but there can be taxes withheld on your W-2 at the casino in certain states. For instance, I gamble a lot here in Indiana. They've got pretty good video poker at one of the local casinos. And when you hit a jackpot over $1,200, they will withhold Indiana state taxes. I work in Indiana, so the filing of that, those W-2Gs isn't that much of a hassle. But I also know in Louisiana, when you hit a jackpot over $1,200 playing the slots or video poker, they will also withhold state taxes. And then it's a matter of trying to determine whether or not filing a local state income tax form is worth the aggravation to try and get any of that tax back. So just a minor clarification. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Yeah, that's a good point. So just be aware that, if you're winning some kind of jackpot in a state.
Varies in certain states.
Right. Now, in Nevada, they don't have state income tax. So,
Right.
It's not a case where they take it out there. But it's definitely something you need to be aware of. Sure.
So what he was alluding to, I believe, is that you could live like in Kentucky, cross the border, gamble in Indiana, hit a jackpot, they take Indiana state taxes, but you actually don't file an Indiana state tax return.
Yeah, so,
So would you want to file one just to get your few bucks back that you paid? Or?
Well, as you know, I'm not an accountant, so I would recommend that people talk to their accountant about a situation like that, where maybe, they don't live in the state where they won, and maybe they do still have to pay that tax, right?
They probably still have to pay it. It's just, would you want to file a tax return so you can
just
write it off and get the money back?
Yeah.
But you probably can't write that off and get the money back. You can probably only get a credit for that amount of money on future winnings.
All right. Look, we're not accountants. Let's not even speculate. Let's just, people keep in mind.
I am going to find this out. I'm going to ask an accountant.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's hear from Matt. Matt actually called a couple of times and kept getting cut off. So I asked him to call back on a landline, and it finally went through. Here's Matt.
Hey, guys. Matt from California on a landline this time. Hopefully this goes through. Third time's a charm, right? So, the story is, when I first called, I was just got in my car at the Oakland airport, and I had been flying back from New Orleans, and luckily had a 3-hour layover in Vegas. So, decided to get a cab, go over to MGM, real close to the airport. So, pulled $100 out, said, okay, well, if I play craps, I know I'm going to get stuck on the table, and I'm going to miss my flight. And didn't really feel like playing blackjack, so sat down at a roulette table, which I wouldn't usually do. It was a $10 table, threw $5 on the number 22, $5 on the number 7, and first spin, boom, 22 hits, pays out $175, tipped the dealer, got up, went right back into the cab, right back to the airport. So it was pretty good, paid for my parking at the airport and a couple drinks at the airport bar. So great way to end an already fun trip from New Orleans. So anyway, love the show, guys, and I'll be in Vegas in a couple weeks, so probably call back and see with a little trip report. All right, have a good one.
Nice. That's the way to do it, huh?
Yeah, that sounds like a Mark and Mike trip to Vegas.
That's right.
In and out.
His story was much better than the time we actually flew to Vegas, played for exactly 1 hour, and then flew home.
Yes.
Back in one of the stupidest moves we've ever done. Back in, we were both single.
That might rank as the most stupid and pathetic move we've ever done.
And, we don't even have a winning story to tell about. It's not like
lost.
we won when we were there. Yeah. So
that was before they had craps in California.
Right. Yeah, I think we did the same. It wasn't MGM Grand, but we stopped at like Tropicana.
It was Tropicana or somewhere. So. Well, getting back to it kind of relates to this anyway. My dad told me last night that he heard on the news, I believe he said on the news, now it might have been the newspaper, that some guy was waiting for his plane within the last few days in Vegas at the airport, and on a
Wheel of Fortune
machine hit a huge jackpot. How much was that?
So it was just under $1 million, if I understand it.
My dad said 900 and some thousand.
I believe it was actually a Las Vegas local, a woman.
Oh, really?
Who was, flying out, and she hit it almost for $1 million.
She wasn't even in Vegas to gamble. She was just there, living there.
I believe so, and
flying somewhere for Easter or something.
Yeah, something like that. So I may have the details wrong, but yes, that did happen. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, what a day! Isn't that a good day when that happens?
That's a good day.
And to take it from the airport.
I know, especially you think, well, nobody wins jackpots at the airport. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
All right, let's hear from Audit Ninja.
Hey, guys. It's Audit Ninja from Twitter. I'd first like to start with a quote from Dr. Mike from episode 95. They are a good team. I would be happy with them. That was regarding Michigan State and Mark's selection of them in his pool. I would like to congratulate Dr. Mike on being the ultimate NCAA bracket cooler, because you have destroyed everyone's brackets in this tournament.
I have North Carolina, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. It's so true, though. Here you're saying, Michigan State, that's pretty good. And it was the biggest upset of the tournament.
They were a good team. I mean, they are a good
Everybody
team.
was surprised. I know.
I mean, it's a huge upset. I could have never guessed that coming. I have North Carolina. What can I say? I'm still in it.
I know.
And I might win this whole thing.
You know what I'll say? So the last weekend when we were at the casino, we're talking to some of the dealers, and Mike says to him, oh, yeah, Oregon, I think they're going to go all the way.
Right.
And like the next day, they were eliminated. Big upset.
This is a surprise to you that I'm the kiss of death with stuff like this?
You need to let our listeners know what your predictions are so that they can bet the other way.
Bet the other way.
Yeah.
There's probably some guy out there who could have taken that info and, won $1 million.
Exactly.
Well, I'm more than happy to sell you my picks so you can go the other way. Anyone out there wants to buy my picks, please just email us.
You know what I'll do? Next year, you fill out a bracket and I'll post it so everybody can see. Just bet the exact opposite on every game.
We'll do that next year.
Do that.
You know what? I should give you my odds for World Series now that baseball's getting ready to start.
Okay. Yeah.
You can post that
Yeah.
and people can bet accordingly.
All right. Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that. Hey, Mike, when's the last time we got a call about Sickbo?
Never.
I think you might be right. Here we go.
How's it going, fellas? This is Ryan from Southern California giving you a call once again. A couple casino trips I wanted to give you a quick little recap on. I spent some time in Toronto, hanging out with family, did a little 90-minute drive to Casino Rama, caught a free show, had some free tickets to see Boys in there, which was not a bad deal at all. Of course, I stuck around to gamble. This is the first casino I've ever seen that had the game Sickbo, 3 dice. I didn't really play it that day, just watching people throw money away betting on the 180-1 payouts, 30-1 payouts. Played up some $10 craps over there. Pretty good action. I didn't like how there were a lot of people sitting in chairs. Seemed like a lot of them didn't really need to be. Took up way too much space. Even some of the dealers were commenting on that. Ended up in Niagara about a week after that at Fallsview Casino. And after reading up on Sickbo a little bit, I decided to give it a try because the other games in the casino over there, the limits were a little higher than I felt like playing at the time, and Sickbo was the only $5 game they had on the casino. So anyway, the best bet to make is to either bet the big or the small for 2.78 house advantage. So what I read up on. So I sat there for about 45 minutes just betting on big. And it was really, really boring. Even though I won a little bit of money, my bets ranged from $5 to $20. 3 dice, got to equal at least 11 through 17. As long as it's not a triple 4-4-4, 5-5-5, because the house wins on that. So pretty much I was just hoping for 11 through 17.
Yeah, so talking about Sickbo just a little bit. So yeah, it's 3 dice are rolled. And the bet that Ryan is talking about is you bet on big. So any combination of the 3 dice that total 11 through 17, not counting trips. 3 of a kind, you automatically lose. Okay. But otherwise, if it totals 11 through 17, you get even money. And on the other side, there's a small bet, same house edge, that pays even money if the totals are 4 through 10.
Total
of all 3 dice, 4 through 10.
Right.
Again, not counting 3 of a kind. 3 of a kind you lose on. And there's so many different bets that you can make on the sick bow table. Ryan was talking about how people were betting like the 180 to 1. 180 to 1 is what pays if you bet on a specific 3 of a kind.
Three sixes.
Yeah, 3 sixes. You specifically bet on that, you win 180 to 1. There's another bet where any 3 of a kind pays 30 to 1. So, you put that out there if it's any kind of 3 of a kind. So that's where he's saying a lot of people were betting on.
Sure.
Yeah. But again,
we haven't played sick bow. I mean, we both have played that.
Yeah, but it's
I'm
been a
going
while.
back to my 20s,
Yeah,
I think, when
yeah.
I played that.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird though was I found out that game had been there for over 20 years, they told me, because I told them I'd never seen it in Vegas. And it kind of seemed like someone had a place in Vegas because there were a lot of people that just couldn't stay away from the bad bets in that game. And I was wondering if you had any reason why maybe that game wouldn't be popular in Vegas or what, but I didn't really like it too much, except for, low limit. It seemed like better than throwing your money away, betting red or black or being a field better, which is, speaking of field better, I had to mention also at Fallsview when I was playing craps there, because it went down to $5 in the morning. I saw a father and a son, and they both had about $300 in front of them, 19-year-old limit there, so the kid was pretty young. And the entire time, the dad was just talking to the son. It seemed like they had some sort of system, and all they did was bet the field every now and then, and it seemed like a terrible way to play. And their bets were going anywhere from, $10 to $30. It was pretty strange. The father kept telling the kid, like, when you feel it, that's when you just gotta push it, you just gotta take your time. Just sometimes you gotta wait. And I almost want to tell these people, like, that's the worst bet you can do here, pretty much, other than, some of the other prop bets. And I was sitting there making a little bit of money because my come bets were hitting. When I got the dice, I hit 2 points. So I was collecting a little bit. I don't know, man. It was kind of painful to see this kid being just kind of told how to play by his dad. Like, I just almost wanted to tell these guys, like, dude, what are you doing? I had to comment on that. It was one of the worst things I've seen in the casino because he seemed kind of obsessed with the idea that this was going to work. The way the dad was talking, like some evil scientist. You should have heard the guy. Anyways. Let's take it easy, man.
What do you think of that, Mike?
I love that. And Ryan calls frequently.
Yeah.
Mark and I go crazy with field bettors. But the funniest thing is, it's so hard to tell a field bettor what they're doing is not good when, 3 11s have come up in a row.
Sure,
or the rolls are like 4, 9, 9, 10, 3.
They're collecting like crazy.
They're collecting like crazy, and they're looking at you like, why aren't you in here? It is so ridiculous. And they never seems to phase them if 3 6s come up in a row.
Yeah. To me, everybody gambles for different reasons. And they gamble differently. There are certain ways that people enjoy to gamble. I would not enjoy just thinking, should I bet the field this time? No, I'm going to.
Well, that's torturous.
Because that is kind of how field bettors work. If you've seen it, it's not like they've got to bet out in the field every time.
No,
it's more like a hunch. Like,
they get hunches.
Yeah. So,
or they hit an 11 and they'll up their bet, and 10 will come up, and then they'll pull it all down.
Yeah,
like, well, you upped it when the one hit. Why not just add a little more for the next one? But it just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And I don't know if this dad and son actually thought they had a system for the field, but I would love to have somebody give me a field system.
Okay. Do you hear that, everybody? If you've got a system for the field, Dr. Mike would love to see it.
I would love to see that. I would love to play that, actually.
And then as far as Sickbo goes, I don't know why. Let's take a look when we're here this weekend, see if we can find any Sickbo games in Las Vegas.
I haven't seen Sickbo in Las Vegas.
Because, we've seen them. I know we saw one in Atlantic City in kind of the Asian area over at Caesar's Palace.
Correct.
But the last time in Vegas, it's been a while. And I don't remember the last time I saw somebody actually playing a Sickbo.
No. It's not a bad game. It's just goofy game.
Well, there's so many different bets that you can make. You can make any kind of combinations. You can bet that 2 of the dice are going to be, a certain pair or something like that. There's a lot out on the board.
There's a lot there. Yeah. Given an opportunity to play Sickbo or the Big Wheel.
Oh, yeah.
What are you playing?
I'd play Sick Bow, absolutely.
I'd be playing Sick Bow.
Yeah,
it's a little more interesting than, putting, $5 on the 2 on the wheel.
Well, I couldn't sit and play the big wheel for very long. That's more of a like, hey, we're passing the big wheel,
That's why there are no chairs at the big wheel table. They make you stand because they know you're leaving quickly. Oh, and getting back to Ryan talking about chairs at the craps table.
Yeah.
So he would hate Harrah's Southern California.
Yeah, they have chairs all around the table. That's just how the culture has developed. Yeah,
it's developed now and it does make for less room.
There's less room. At the same time that you've got a little more room because fewer players can actually get up to the table,
right.
if you know what I'm saying.
When you're already sitting at the table, it's kind of nice. Yeah. You have a little more room.
Yeah.
And when we're there 6 hours straight, it is nice to sit down.
It is nice to be able to sit down, yeah. All right, let's hear from Scott, a.k.a. Drunk Scott, a.k.a. Shill Scott, a.k.a. Scott, co-host from this 360 Vegas podcast, a.k.a. Scott from the Vital Vegas blog and now Vital Vegas podcast. Scott.
I hope we hear from Drunk Scott.
Okay, well, let's see.
Hey, guys, what's up? It is Scott Robin, the one over at that other podcast. Hey, thank you so much for supporting it, by the way, and mentioning it. But I'm not calling about that. I'm calling about a piece on your last podcast about Downtown Grand and this free buy of the 4. And I ambled over there tonight in my drunken stupor.
Scott kind of got cut off there, but he's talking about the free buy bets on the 4 and 10 at Downtown Grand.
To find out more about that, because I thought it was pretty cool. And thanks for pointing me in that direction. The good news is that is the case. The bad news is some of the details might have been off. So I guess this was a promotion for March Madness, and it's only good through the end of March. The guy I talked to, a floor manager guy, said they didn't know if they were going to continue that promotion. I thought it was a little too good to be true because it actually made me want to play craps at Downtown Grand. It looks like it cost $20 to make that bet. I can't remember if you guys mentioned it, but anyway, I thought it was a decent deal, and I hope they'll keep with it. And I agree with you that it would be a great thing to catch on. Ultimately, what are they really giving up? $1 for a $20? I don't know. I never make that bet, but I might if it's free. Anyway, thanks again, you guys, and really enjoy the podcast. You've been an inspiration, and I'll catch up with you at some point. Out.
Okay, so if this really was a March Madness promotion, let's hope that it extends into the Final Four weekend.
Yeah, well, Saturday is the 2nd of April, and that's that's the
Final Four. Mm-hmm, yep.
So it should extend into that.
I hope so, because we are showing up on April 1st in Vegas, and I'll tell you, if they don't offer it, we're not going to go to the Downtown Grand. Or if
there's really no reason.
If we do, we're going to go over there and say, "Oh, we thought you had free buy bets on the 4 and 10." Well, we're leaving. That's the only reason we came over. So maybe that would, put a bug in their ear. But
and then you just go inside.
Taylor had told us that it was a $10 minimum. Maybe it's $20 now, or maybe it used to be 10 and now it's 20, or who knows. But
20 makes more sense.
20 does make more sense, but it'd be great if it were 10 also. Anyway, keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully this weekend for Visit, we're going to be able to play that. All right, one final call. This from one of your patients.
All right.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. I was in the office today seeing Dr. Mike, as a matter of fact, when he was telling me about your guys' podcast. Listened to about 5 or 6 of them, and got to say that I love it. So I thought I would actually share my experience last week in Vegas. I was out there on a corporate conference trip from Sunday to Friday and stayed at the MGM Grand. Not to bash the MGM Grand, but I've got to say it's not my favorite hotel. Just ran into a bunch of problems, water leaks, not having water for a day and a half, as well as shower curtain smelling like mildew, having to get that switched out, and just generally a massive casino. Takes forever to walk to our conferences, that kind of thing. Having said that, I played a lot of craps while I was there in Vegas. Fairly new to it, but I'll call it my game. It's definitely what I love to play now. Played a lot at the MGM in between conferences, running over, getting up early, hitting the tables, staying up late night, hitting the table. The first couple of days we had a good set of dealers that were pretty fun. I'll say the first night was in pretty steep, went on quite the losing streak. The next day came around, had some monster hands, and ended up quite up in the next days to come. But after a few days, the dealers kind of changed. Actually, some of the dealers we spoke to were going down to Temecula on a golfing trip for the next couple of days. Those are the cool guys that we had spoken to. But after that, they were pretty somber guys, not much fun, very much just, running through the paces. Having said that, my boss went on a few monster hands later in the week and walked away with quite a bit as well. We also hit up Treasure Island, just because of the legendary stories that we had heard and read about. We hit up New York, the Link, Harrah's, and Excalibur. And I can tell you just from being there, Excalibur does have $5 tables. And they were just, what a fun group out there at the Excalibur. We made a killing at the Excalibur. I don't particularly like $5 tables. It's good to, when you're having a bad set, kind of drop down a little bit. But I kind of like to stay in the $10 and up range. Having said that, back to the MGM Grand, one thing that I really disliked is they have a lot of high roller reserving of tables. I found it really annoying. For half the days, full days, you'd walk in, half the tables reserved, and they only have 2 to open at a time. Normally, if it got really busy, they'd open up a third, but it seemed like almost every day, 1 to 1.5 tables were reserved for high rollers. Now, having said that, I never even saw a high roller playing there. They just stayed reserved all day. I asked them about it, and they said it's something that they run through their marketing department, but it's quite the waste, especially when you're stuck in that hotel for the majority of the time and not be able to get out because you got conferences all day. Anyways, I just wanted to share my experience with you. Love your guys' show. Thanks a lot. And Dr. Mike, you're the best.
Oh, you're the best.
That's nice. Thank you. His name's Dennis, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a great guy. A couple things Dennis told me that he didn't mention, but I'll say this. One thing was he said the night they got there at MGM, he ordered room service at like 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay. It came at midnight.
Really?
2 hours to get room service. I'm like, I would have just not even answered the door. I would have said, hey, I went to sleep after. What do you think's the right time for room service to get to your room?
Well, it can take a while. So I would say an hour maximum. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
I understand it sometimes can take a while, especially at night, late at night, right? But an hour, that's the max I would wait. How long does it take to heat those chicken nuggets up?
That's right, yeah.
So anyway, that was one weird thing. The other thing he told me, he was talking about the tables at MGM Grand. So he's in this conference thing, and he told me that he'd have a meeting, and then he'd have like an hour or two before the next meeting. So he would just run out to the casino to play some craps for an hour or two, right?
Yeah.
And he said at one point he came out, and there's like one table full, completely full. There's another table that's half reserved, and the other half is full of people. Yeah. And there's a third table reserved.
Yeah.
So there's nowhere for him to play.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's kind of, I don't know what day of the week that was or what time it was, but it's
I know,
so
and
weird.
We've seen that quite a bit too at Caesar's Palace, where they're reserved tables, and we never see the people actually play. Right. So they're just catering to these whales, I guess, and when there's people who want to play, I mean, wouldn't you think the casino would say, well, let's just maybe 2 halves. Like if you had 2 big whales, reserve one half for this guy and half for this other guy. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, and we see it a lot. Have you ever stayed at MGM Grand?
No.
I haven't either. Isn't that funny?
I've never stayed there. Yeah. When I'm in there, it's such a huge place.
It's big, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I'd like it because you know how I am with like walking to my room.
It'd probably take you forever to get from your room to the table, yeah.
I stayed at the crappiest hotel Caesar's Palace had because it was the closest one to the craps table.
Oh, the crappiest tower, you mean?
Yeah, the crappiest tower. So I could get to the tables quicker. And the lady's looking at me like, you want to stay there? Yeah. You can stay up here. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I want to be close to the table. So MGM would not be my place.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Hey, everyone who's going to the Vice Lounge Online 5th anniversary celebration in Louisville, they're going this weekend to check out the distilleries and maybe do some gambling there at Southern Indiana where you were. Right. Everybody have a blast. Have a safe trip. Those who are attending Visit, we will see you this weekend. We're going to be getting in early April 1st. We probably won't tweet till later in the day once we're kind of all settled. But again, we're going to be on the Strip all day on Friday. We'll be downtown on Saturday. And so hopefully we'll see you there. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. We know we're going to see some people we've met before. So we're looking forward to that. And then we hope to meet some new people.
Absolutely. And this is going to be a dry trip for me. No booze.
No booze at all.
Because it's such a quick turnaround.
This is serious gambling.
We were talking about it. Neither you nor I is going to sleep well the night before the trip.
No,
right?
I'm actually going to get home real late tomorrow night from work. And we're leaving so early. I told my wife today, I think I'm probably going to get maybe 2 to 3 hours sleep.
Yeah, so we're going to be exhausted, and then it's just we're going to stay out late that Friday night. It's our last night there.
Yeah, we have to. It's our first and last night there.
And then, so if I added alcohol to the equation, I think I'd be really pushing it. So dry trip for me anyway.
Oh, come on. Just a little.
I don't think so, no.
A dinner drink?
No.
A small beer?
No drinks. Nope. It's going to be all soda and energy drinks. That's it.
Lip balm with some alcohol in it?
Nothing. No, mouthwash, nothing. Hey, we want to thank some people for some PayPal donations. First of all, Robin over there at NE Time Gambling. Thanks very much, Robin, for the PayPal donation. Also, Philip sent us a donation. He says he's going to the Guns N' Roses reunion concert April 8th. They got that new arena over there, and they're going to be playing there. So,
where's that at?
It's over there by New York, and Monte Carlo over in that area.
That area.
Mm-hmm, yep. Also, thank you, Ian, for the PayPal donation. He says, hope to see you guys at Visit. So, maybe we'll see him there. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. We update those listings every Wednesday using a customized program to search through all the raw American TV data. Just go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and click on the link at the top that says TV listings. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We tweet when we're heading to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. We'll be tweeting quite a bit when we're in Vegas. And again, you don't have to have a Twitter account to follow us on Twitter. Just go to twitter.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Excited, Mike?
Very excited. I mean, it's so funny because we go almost every Friday to the casino, right? So this is just another Friday, but it starts earlier.
Oh, it starts
early in the morning. It's not starting at 7:00 at night. This is early in the morning. We have all day, and then that 1 hour of sleep we get Friday night, we get to get up and play craps.
Oh, that's going to be fantastic. Yeah, yes. Looking forward to it.
I'm a little hesitant about the no mouthwash thing you threw out there, but
I'm going to stick to it, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck to you. We're sharing a room this time, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Good luck to you.
This time we're sharing a room. Maybe I'll drink.
Hey, well, there you go. Excellent.
Maybe I'll drink.
All right, I'm going to remember this, folks. Great. All right, thanks for listening.
Good night.